All right, all right. Happy Friday, everybody. This is the Regal Mindset Podcast Show. We starting over again. We just wanted to make sure y'all internet was working on this good Beyonce Friday. So again, this is Keisha, or I am Keisha. I'm one half of the host of the Regal Mindset Podcast Show. Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Dr. Joy, the coach. I'm the other half of the Regal Mindset Show, and I'm glad for a do over.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with a do-over. Listen, we
Right.
are humans having a human experience, and I'm quite sure that the people who tune in with us on a weekly basis understand that. So, again, tonight we're talking about a very maybe sensitive to some, right? I'm
Hmm.
sure there's a part of the LGBTQ community that at some point felt like a stranger within their own skin, right?
Oh my
So
God. Yeah.
just before we got digitally interrupted, I was asking you if at any point in your life, excuse me, that you felt disconnected or not necessarily what is internal is matching matching the
Uh-oh.
visual presentation.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I think when I started finding myself, because I say multiple times, I never was in the closet. But
Yeah.
when I say finding myself, I'm talking about my look, how I present myself. Because I think when I first started out this whole Atlanta gay lesbian experience,
Okay.
uh, I was a church girl, so I still wore my dresses. I had my long hair. I always had a dominant presence. I just was never aggressive or nothing like that. And then started dating more, and then I cut my hair off. That was the first thing because I had long hair. I had that body and bounce. You couldn't tell me nothing.
Okay, buddy.
And yeah, listen, it was doing it. And but I noticed I got more attention dressed like a girl than I did anything else. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so I cut all my hair off. Then I started wearing baggy clothes because that was the look.
Okay.
Then I'm like, I don't even like the way I look into this. Then I started being more the professional preppy stud. Then
Okay.
like I went through a lot
Phases.
of phases. Then I grew my locks out. Then I, wear them in different style. And then now I'm just like so free. I'll put on a cape and some
Yeah.
wingtips and some pearls.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think I love the person I evolved. And that because my clothes was considered my skin. I don't feel that I ever looked in the mirror and felt disconnected to my nakedness. I didn't feel disconnected to my body parts. Um, so I never had that experience. Now, have I wondered if I took tea, am I going to look, get the muscles and stuff? But the other side of tea, I don't want because I really enjoy being, having some feminine presence.
Yeah.
Uh, So I think that's me. What about you?
So it's kind of similar to what you described, right? Hey, Shay. And so I'll talk about myself and my journey, and
Hmm.
then we'll talk about some things that we may have seen on our timelines. So for me personally, absolutely, there were moments in my life or on this journey where I did not necessarily um, what was internal was displayed or how I conducted myself or carried myself in life, right? And I think for everybody that is a journey, right? Because for one, again, you're trying to determine or figure out who it is that you are, right?
Right.
How you want to show up in the world, and what does that package look like, right? And are you at a place where you're honest enough to actually walk in that, right, regardless of what the external people will say, and the world and society, even sometimes your family members, right? So for me, it was a combination of a couple things. It was okay, yes, at this point in life, I do care what my loved ones think of me and how they
Mhm.
view me. and other people. So I don't want to frighten off too many people, but I still want to be a little bit more of what I feel like on the inside, right? Always been very dominant, maybe a tomboy, as a young kid or young girl. And as you grow up, maybe then a soft stud, right? Because again, like you, I still enjoy and appreciate some of the feminine features of myself, right? And so then I transitioned into, or especially after the military, um, became more comfortable with who I was as a person and cared much less with what other people thought and how they felt about me and what my attire should look like if it matched what was comfortable for them. I could care less. So
Mm.
that was a journey for me, right? There's still some things that are a little uncomfortable for me, right? Or in terms of dress or attire that I'm just not comfortable with wearing. Like for example, it used to be a time when I would go to church, I wear dresses or wore dresses, splits and great body. Um, but today that I don't have those things in my closet.
Mhm.
So, again, this is just being honest, but I think why this conversation is so important, one is because a lot of the LGBTQ community struggle with these things mentally and kind of isolate
Mhm.
themselves at times because they're not quite sure if they're going to be accepted, how the world is going to treat them, how their family's going to treat them, right? If they
Right.
want to do something other than what they've been doing.
Right. And I think to me, that is what caused mental stress.
Yes.
That could lead or trigger mental illness because you're so caught up on another person's perception, you're willing to one, deny your true self,
Hmm.
or, not willing to be free and be yourself. You're always in some form of hiding. And I I'm saddened for individuals that have that experience that could never truly be them. Um, and we can't really speak to our transgender sisters and brothers and how they identify. And no one would ever tell them that what they feel is not real. But what I can say is that it's a conflict because you have some that are untransgendering themselves that will argue that they made the wrong decision. They shouldn't have did this to their body. They this, that. And then you have some that are so perfectly normal with their changes that it would warrant, okay, what really caused you to make those changes that you now regret?
Right.
Were you doing it because that was a phase?
Mm, okay.
Because sometimes I really think being a gay is a phase for some people.
Oh, really?
Because it was like a trending thing at one thing. It was hot to be gay.
Yeah,
It
I
was
don't know that
like,
I would have stood in that line to try it out.
yeah, that's it. They was coming out there. It was a thing to be gay. And it's like, you're really not gay.
Oh,
You don't
wow.
even want to touch a woman, but you want a woman to touch you. You ain't gay. You tired of the other stuff.
Okay. Oh,
You
those
know,
aren't pillow princesses?
yeah, and that's too much. Because if you're a pillow princess, I don't think, and especially if you're sexually active,
Yeah.
but you're willing to participate more with him than you are with her,
Uh-huh.
you just there for a free lay and play. And be honest with that. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean you just a lesbian. It just means you just like to do that and you found somebody who's okay with doing it.
Yeah. I
I
get
mean,
that.
yeah. So, and I feel that people do go through phases, and I do feel that some people have a true identity. Was it dysphoria?
Okay. Yeah.
Because what it was like the young lady Jazz, it started when it was a toddler.
Yeah.
You could not tell the old Jazz that it wasn't Jazz,
Yeah.
and she's happy with her decision.
Yeah.
You have some, um, well, I can't. It's a lot of them. I can't even think of them. That Mock. What is her name? Something Mock. Is very pretty, beautiful. You would never know she was a sir
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other ones that you be looking at them like, I would have never thought. But
Yeah.
then some, you like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're pretty strong now. You know,
I
so
got
it's like, how how we don't have anybody to ask right now, but we do
right.
open up the opportunity to help us understand, to support,
Mm-hmm.
not to judge, not to challenge your decision, but to support,
Yeah.
because we want to be able to not justify, but to protect you in those conversations. But we can't protect you in those conversations if we don't know. So give us an opportunity if
Yeah.
you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even aside from that, right? Let's just say, the what we're talking about doesn't necessarily only belong in the conversation of LGBTQ, right?
Hmm.
I think sometimes even women who are expecting look at their bodies in that transitional period and
A good point.
wonder, this is a complete stranger to me. Like this person does not look like who or what I look like when I started this journey, right? And what I hope for them is that it's not a mental block in terms of how they feel about the bun in the oven that they're cooking, right?
Hmm.
But I imagine some people, may feel a disconnect with the person they actually see in the mirror versus who they think of themselves as. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, yeah,
But let's, okay, if we're going to go to that perspective, what about those of individuals that grew up in colorist households?
yeah.
And we're finally coming into an agreement and acceptance that our skin is darker and it's still just as beautiful, because growing up, and I know in the South, light skin was the thing.
Yeah.
And so being a stranger in your skin because you don't like what's looking back at you.
Yeah.
um we had, it's not to this extreme, but we had to have a conversation with my daughter. She don't like her hair.
Mm,
She want hair like mine, not in the short, but she want hair
the
that looks
texture.
like everybody. Yeah, the texture.
Okay.
And she want hair that looks like everybody else. And I keep trying to tell her how beautiful her hair is and why. Not because it's better than anybody else's, or not because I chose your hair. It's your, understand the beauty in your hair. And so I think she's catching on, but it was a shocker.
hmm Okay.
She said it right out of her mouth.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think also to your point, right? I've dated a few women who are biracial, and oftentimes they had insecurities and they had um, a hard time dealing with not necessarily always being able to fit into the crowds that they were kind of thrown into. Right? They always felt to some degree either I have to get along with the black side of my family more so than the white side because maybe there's some separation there, maybe some people disowned us or what have you, but there was always a struggle with one or the other side of their families and finding a place within their own family to actually exist and be comfortable, right?
Hmm.
And even some celebrities have spoken about, their ability to not necessarily feel comfortable in one or the other, and it's just that journey itself, right? So I
Hmm.
can't imagine what that would feel like, not being able to connect or having that as a lifelong challenge. Like that
Hmm.
is just crazy to me. Yeah,
Yeah, I would say that too.
yeah,
But when we really look at the topic, the stranger in my skin, it can go across so many different genres of life.
yeah,
Because, like you brought up about how a woman's body change when she's pregnant, because I seen some that went from like Cardi B-ish, and then next thing you know, they was looking like the alien. And
yeah,
how did that happen?
yeah.
And then um, growing up as a tomboy, and you're forced to put on a prom dress,
Yeah,
you know.
I
That was a
agree.
big thing for some people.
Yeah, still.
And you standing there, and there's some people now. I see them, and when I seen their prom pictures, I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah,
But I never
yeah,
seen you and in that type of setting.
yeah,
You know, um, it's just so much. Even growing older, you're having to get used to your skin wrinkling.
yeah. Stuff
And
falling.
yeah, you got to catch this bad boy.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely it is. And again, so I guess the important part of it is to maintain some level of mental um security, right? To figure out how to navigate that part or that season of in life, right? Whether it is you're going through a pregnancy, right? Your body will at some point return if you put the work in that's required to get it back, or as they call it, the snapback.
Mhm.
You can get back there, right? But for
Right.
those people who are on that journey of hey, this, what I feel about myself does not match externally, and I need to surgically change, make some changes, then that again, that's a lifelong journey, right? And so there's different ways that we can support these people as they're on these different kinds of journeys. For me, I can say that my transition was over a period of 20, 25, 30 years. You know what I mean? Just becoming more comfortable with myself. So I think uh, me allowing myself enough grace to be or to have enough, give myself enough permission,
Mhm.
one, to live the life that I see for myself was the biggest hurdle, and
Right.
caring less about what other people thought and how or if they would accept me. But again, I think that's
Right.
just a journey of maturing and getting older.
Right. But then also let's look at it from a military perspective.
Yeah,
Most people in the military are all slim and trim, and then when they stop, I mean, granted, you kept your shape,
yeah, for
but
the most
it's
part.
some that done blew up, and I'm like, you wasn't in no military.
Well, I mean, there may have been some challenges while they wore the uniform, but yeah. So even myself, I've been about the same. Well, certainly the same height, but the same weight, give or take 10, maybe 15 pounds for
Mm.
30 years easily.
Mm.
And there's a lot of clothes that I have that are, nah, I don't know if I have any that's 30 years old, but I have quite a few things that I've had for a long period of time because I've kind of stayed in the same body type. The
Mhm.
attire may have changed, but for the most part, the same body type.
A
Um, yeah. So, but listen, it could go left any day. So
time.
I'm in one Dunkin' Donuts away from, from
Oh
on
my
the
God.
tipping that scale the wrong way. So,
Mhm.
we're gonna hold it tight.
And we can go back and look at people who've made drastic changes. Like let's look at Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
We can say all day he was a beautiful black boy.
Yeah.
He didn't see that.
True.
And
True.
so it makes me as a parent wonder, how can I ensure that my child sees their beautiful self the way that I see them,
Hmm.
and feel good that it's the truth.
True. True.
And it's scary because
Yeah.
you don't know. It doesn't matter how many times you tell your child they're beautiful, they're handsome, and all of this. It's still up to that person to accept, you know.
Who
So
they
it's
are.
like it just opens up a big can of worms.
Hmm.
Because if my child, I would never criticize them, but I would question, what about you don't love that you're
Hmm.
willing to make a medical or a permanent change to that's not a tattoo?
Alteration. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what? And then I would question myself.
Yeah.
What did I do? Did I say, oh, don't do that. You're getting a little too big. Did I say something that could have triggered that and you held on to it? Because I know what was said to me
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
know what I held on to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could have been not that intentional, but parents could say, or family members could say stuff as a joke and don't know what that makes you feel like. I
Yeah.
had one senile aunt. Every time I seen her, it was crazy. She was like, "Look at you, with the big old hips." That's all she say. Then her mind will flip to something else. Then she'll come back. "Look at you with them big old hips." And I'm like, "What are we talking about?" And that was her, even though she was losing it, but that
Yeah.
was her constant loop.
Yeah. Her
And then
loop.
when, the comments my grandmother used to say to me, she didn't want to pay for my prom because she said I was too big. And I'm like, but I'm 16 and I'm like was in a 12, 14. Was I supposed to be in like a 10? So those are thoughts that I had to grow up with and learn to love what I saw.
Yeah.
Everybody comments made me hate what I saw.
Okay.
And so I wonder, I mean, and then I would say that caused a mental defect
Okay. Okay.
because it caused me to see something that wasn't there.
Sure.
And people who have weight loss surgery, we
Yes. Good
have to
point.
go through that psychological testing because some people still don't see themselves in a different body after
Mm-hmm.
they've lost 100, 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is huge.
Yeah.
People still be looking like, I'm still too big. And I'm like, have you seen yourself lately? They don't see it.
Yeah.
And I now understand why they make you go through that psychological because you're not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Same thing
Absolutely.
if you had bulimia or anorexia, you don't see what we see.
Mm-hmm.
You see what you see, and it's now a mental defect.
Yeah. Well, here's the other side from that. So a couple things, right? First, back to Michael Jackson.
Hmm.
In my personal opinion, and all honestly, I think if he did not rise to the level of the superstar that he was,
Hmm.
I don't know that he would have made those changes in terms of his skin complexion or the alterations to his
Right.
face. I think if he was Michael Jackson still in Indiana, I don't know that he would have um, made those changes. That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
Then you mentioned, weight loss journey. From what I understand in the conversations that I've had with many people who have gone through that part of the process, and a lot of them have shared that they almost have to mourn the person they were before
Wow.
because losing that version of yourself and now having to birth a new version of you has to be a clear separation in that
Hmm.
that person no longer exists and you have to build a love relationship with this new version of you.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
that makes sense to me, right? Even if we also add to the mix, same concept, right? People who have experienced breast cancer and have to have their breasts uh,
Wow.
removed, right? They're not necessarily looking at the same person that they are familiar with or have been familiar with for all that time. There's a shift, there's a change, right? Now, how does that affect them mentally? That I don't know,
Hmm.
right? But I imagine there is something there that needs to be addressed and needs to probably be worked through in terms of the person they used to be versus who they see in the mirror
Hmm.
now.
Wow. You said a lot.
Yeah,
That makes plenty of sense.
yeah, yeah.
But what can be done? Is there, I know there's no fix all, but okay, so going back to Michael Jackson, and this is my personal assessment, the nose he wanted versus the nose he had was on the people who he saw was more beautiful.
Mhm,
And it's like, but who told you your nose was ugly?
mhm, mhm.
Now, did he have acne? Yeah, but that could have been handled. You can get
Yeah.
rid of, you can't get rid of ugly, but you can
Yeah.
get rid of acne. But it's like, who told you? And then it's how now we, as we mature, can create safe environments to make sure that a black boy and a black girl love their features. And because the way society makes us feel is that we're the wrong ones,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're trying to get what we got. And it's like what we could do as a community, what we could do as an organization, what we could do as an individual to help, I want to say, young people and even old people see the beauty of the skin that they're in,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and help them see and change their vision about themselves.
Yeah.
Because this plagues us as a community, because we're often told, how our body features, our nose, our lips, our body shapes are so abnormal. They're not society's norm. They're not
Mm-hmm.
picture perfect, but you're getting things to make you have what we naturally have. But then we've grown up hearing the bad part of that. It's almost too late to turn to where now we see the good in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so what I heard and understood from what you just shared is that it's a few things, right? I think so. Even to Michael Jackson's situation scenario, perhaps psychologically, he had a lot of things that he struggled with,
Mm.
whether it was voices externally telling him that, or if he imagined people's thoughts, or if he imagined that someone was saying that about him, right?
Mm.
Because two things can be true, right? Yes, some people may have been whispering or saying those things, but he could have created that narrative himself.
Mm-hmm.
And based on his financial status, he had the means to be able to change that. Again, I don't think he would have made those changes, but then again, he may not, because he was not in, would have been in the limelight, would he have been exposed to people who may have said that, right? He would have been just Michael Jackson from Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, the kids in his neighborhood look like him. They have acne. They're going through the same stages, same process. I think what changed for him is him having access.
Yeah, I
He
get
had
that.
access to doctors that can make those changes. He had access to the finances to be able to make those changes as often as he wanted to, right?
Right.
Even aside from that, right? Let's say if his psychological or his mental space was intact and he never made any changes, um, I feel like he still would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think the problem is, in my opinion, is a lot of times we think, not just myself, but the media has a large role or a lot of weight in terms of how we see or treat ourselves. Not everybody, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's some people who tune out that noise, right? But at some point growing up in life, we all wanted to either look like Michael Jackson, have the Michael Jackson jacket, that was something that we saw. The media played a large part in that, right? There's different trends, that we all went through, whether it was whatever it was, right? There's something that we see on television or in as a celebrities or influencers or what have you that have a huge influence on our life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we have to have some interference, right? As parents, we have to continue to pour into our children and let them know that you are beautiful, your skin is beautiful, the way you speak is beautiful, the features
Mm-hmm.
that you have are beautiful because you share that with myself and or with the two parents.
Right.
So just encouraging and motivating and explaining to them why they have those features, why they look different. Everybody shouldn't look the same.
You,
It should be copy
but
paste.
yeah, it's definitely don't want to copy and paste. But okay, so I have several things came up. One, when we get into a relationship or we start liking individuals,
Mm-hmm.
they choose somebody else. You automatically, I know me, I'm gonna ask, well, what's wrong with me?
Mm.
And I'm gonna start looking at the other person that you chose and comparing what could have chose over being with me. That was my issue.
Okay.
Then going to back to the celebrity status, I saw a documentary with Patti LaBelle and Stephanie Mills. And they said the industry told them, you're not going to go far because of your nose.
Mm,
And both of them had nose jobs. Now, Patty said, I wanted to make sure my nose still stayed black, but I just wanted it, a little bit smaller. And she got a beautiful nose, So in that world, that pressure of you're not going to be up front unless you do X, Y, Z. Now, fast forward to now, you have people like Craig Mack that came out. Now, granted, I know he's gone, but we know how bad he looked. You have individuals that come out and stay themselves.
mm-hmm.
I don't see Erica Badu making any changes.
Right.
She don't need to.
Right.
But these are people that came out natural and stayed. At one point, Lizzo did. But then
Mm-hmm.
you also got Jill Scott, of course. She didn't change anything.
Yeah.
And so now it's acceptable to stay yourself.
Yeah.
Now, then you got some that go get the BBLs, and you're like, you don't even do it right. You don't even look right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so the influences are around us, but if you are involved in your circle's life, what can we do to make sure that our influence is stronger than the outside?
Mm-hmm.
How can we cut off that noise?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that is where my question lingers. What can we do now as a community, as a voice, as a parent, as a friend, to help solidify your beauty and your confidence and your self-esteem?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's an ongoing process, and the reason I say that is because it's not enough to be able to have a conversation with somebody who struggles with that, or who identifies that they feel slightly different or not up to par or not as pretty or beautiful or handsome or whatever. I think that's an ongoing um, conversation, right? And the reason I say that is I have a grandson who is he is light skinned, and he's actually probably closer to my wife's complexion. And in his mind, and again, he's only 5. He thinks that he's white. And we explained to him, no, I mean, you have a parent who is biracial, but you're black. And his siblings are roughly, like a couple shades different, but all fair skin, right? He's in his mind, he had a friend at school. He's like, I don't like him, I don't want to play with him. He's black. So he's like, only person black I like is my Jima. Well, listen, honey. Look, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but you're black
Yeah.
too, But again, it's an ongoing conversation we have to have with him, in terms of, yeah, guy, you're black too, man. Like, and you're beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and and this is why your skin is a little lighter, and there's all shades of brown in your family, right? Whether you know them or not, there's a lot of people that are fair skin or dark skin or black like your G-Bond that you're going to get to know and build relationships with and actually like them as well. Don't
Mm-hmm.
allow someone's color, skin tone, or skin color dictate whether or not you like them, want to play with them, want to kick it with them, that can or can't be your friend. That's not how you choose people that you want to rock with.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the best we could do with a 5-year-old. Now, when he turns
Yeah,
10, the conversation changes
the conversation
if he
changed.
still feels that way. But
So
yeah,
it is father or mother.
father.
Father is white,
No, he's biracial.
biracial.
Yeah, but he's just light skinned.
Okay, got it.
So
No,
yeah,
we're having the same conversation with
yeah,
your niece.
yeah.
She's, I get it. And when you're looking at my skin color and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're looking at your mommy and you looking back at me.
Yeah. What's
That
happened?
ain't right.
Yeah. Somebody
But
cooked me.
then, yeah, and it's you got to be as delicate
Yeah.
with that as possible
Yeah.
so that you don't make my side look bad or
Yeah.
make your side look bad.
Yeah.
So you have to have those conversations, but we have to be okay with the conversation and not blow it off the way our parents would have blown it off,
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think our generation has done a better job because we're not saying, "Oh, you black as your daddy," or did in a negative way.
Yeah.
We changed that conversation because we know how damaging it was to us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And we also realizing that all light skin ain't pretty and all dark skin ain't ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was
Chocolate's
a
still
big thing.
in. I don't know who told him that, but chocolate's still in.
Listen, we rocking.
Okay, listen. So even aside from that, right? Let's get back into the subject of the conversation for tonight. Again, I feel like social media also has a role in that, or has a play in that. Like we were talking about earlier, the media now, social media, is included in that bucket, and my opinion, those social pressures do
Mhm.
weigh in heavily, especially on young young people who are just so impressionable. They
Mhm.
want to be like, they want to be like other people that they see, and don't really understand the importance of diversity and looking different, right? They just don't get it. And so I think that's a part of our responsibility as parents to encourage, introducing them to different cultures, introducing them to different people, different kinds of people. That's on us, right? Because they may not necessarily get that later in life. Maybe they choose to, associate with their own little circle in their own little world. And I don't want to not allow them the experiences of as many cultures and people that we can expose them to. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
But it's us being able to penetrate the media as much as we can
Yeah,
to bring that because we understand that,
yeah,
because the influences that they have, they want it. Like everybody that I know went through a Soldier Boy period. When you
ah,
had that long t-shirt, headband, all that stuff. Everybody went through that. We went through that TLC.
yeah. The
We
baggy
was left
jeans,
eye and a bag of jeans,
then
and
the
we
skinny
doing
jeans.
everything. So we all went through those influences,
Yeah,
but some influences stick harder than others.
yeah, yeah,
And I don't want to look like TLC, but I went through that time frame.
yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I went through the '70s and the 2000s. I had
Right.
an afro, I had the big earrings. I was wearing platform shoes and bell bottom. I
Right.
went through. I don't know what I was doing, but it looked good to me.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think mentally that didn't disconnect you from who you were authentically, right?
Right,
Even though you may have wanted to have, like you said, the baggy clothes, right, or the skinny jean fashion, or whatever that trend was, didn't mean that you liked yourself any less, right?
right.
And that's what my fear is. Like we were talking about Michael Jackson earlier. He genuinely did not like what he looked like when he saw himself in the mirror. That's what it seems like,
Right.
right? Otherwise, I don't know that he would have made those changes. It just doesn't make sense. So he, even though he changed, and set trends in terms of the jacket, I don't even know what the jacket's called. I just know it's the Michael
The
Jackson jacket.
leather
It's the
jacket,
red,
yeah.
yeah, with all the buttons on it,
The
like
thriller
just
jacket.
crazy. The whole thing. So, and then the glove, he was his own individual person. And what I would have wished is that if he understood the power that he had over the influence that he had towards people of all races, that he felt more comfortable within his own skin to be who God made him.
Right.
That would have set a bigger tone. But maybe that's not what his calling was.
I will agree to that.
Yeah.
Somebody who had a calling and stuck with it to me, Prince. He ain't never changed.
Okay, and he was a
Ain't got
pretty
any.
man, gorgeous man.
And he was a man.
Yes.
Like he had the most beautiful women.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was smaller than them. He was sexier than them,
Yeah.
but he was a man. And like you, it was like you is. I don't care. You got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You could tell he had the swag within himself that he so it seems he was very
Mhm.
comfortable within his skin.
I mean, comfortable.
That is a great point. I absolutely 100% agree. There's other men as well.
Yeah,
Maxwell, he strikes me as a man who is very comfortable within his own skin.
Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah. And Eric Benet, he strikes
Yeah.
me as another man who is very comfortable within his skin. So I am thankful for those examples and those people who do just take this journey on through life and not make those changes to satisfy
Hmm.
the industry, right?
Right.
We'll say, or the media or people external to what they believe in.
Yeah.
Um one other thing that is coming to mind that is again very I hope it's not triggering, but trauma, right, that's related around things in terms of transitions, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's weight, age, illness, right? Sometimes
Hmm.
when you see a person who's been ill for a while, I remember my grandmother when she was battling cancer, and people would see her. We would go out to the grocery store, and I weighed heavy on her in terms
Hmm.
of people would look at her and she lost a lot of weight, and they'd be like, "How you doing, Sister Shaw?" And she would just start crying because in her mind, these people remember her one way,
Right.
and that's not who she is right now. Her health is failing. She's lost all this weight. She barely trying to get through. But so I can imagine that is man, for people going through illnesses and things like that.
Mm. It could, yeah. Especially like dealing with cancer and people lose their hair.
Yeah.
Their hair was their glory.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You looking at someone totally different when you've built your image and your style off your hair.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Even aging, I think I said this a while back. I was at an event maybe a month ago, and a young girl, she said, "What's up, OG?" I said, "Oh man, I'm in the
You said,
OG
really?
category." Yeah, that's what she said. But you know what? I kind of took it as a badge of honor. It's like,
Yeah.
"Shit, I made it." I'll take it. She's like, "What's up? You always fly." I was like, "Oh, thank you, man." But
Come on,
yeah,
OG.
so aging also. I mean, listen, I got some grays. I have never dyed my hair. Some people
That's
want to
good.
dye their hair, and they want to not necessarily escape aging, right? But they want to, maybe not. They want to prolong it just a little bit more, or maybe they just feel comfortable,
Mhm.
with their natural, what their hair used to look like without the grays. But me specifically, I don't feel the age that I am. But I will say, I think that is a challenge for people, you know?
Like it's going to happen, people.
Yeah,
It's how you age gracefully.
yeah,
And that's a beauty of being black because most of us are going to do it anyway.
and it don't crack.
But exactly. But in the same sense, the Bible says a hoary head is a crown of glory if it be in the way of righteousness. If
Okay.
you do right and you live the best that you can towards people, your skin, your elasticity is not going to change and show. And I feel that when you see people and you're like, you look amazing. They're like, I feel amazing because they more than likely is just a good person.
Yeah, yeah,
You're not around here tormenting other people.
yeah,
And I think that when you're living in some form of misery where you just not happy, and stop smoking,
yeah.
stuff
That
like that
ages you.
too.
And drinking too. Yeah,
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 drinking ages the inside.
yeah,
The smoking ages everything.
yeah.
and sucking your face right on out.
Yeah.
But it's like that's the beauty of being a good person.
Yeah, yeah. I was watching the news earlier today, and they were talking about the one of the oldest women in the world. She's 117, and she gave this university permission to study her. And she said, well, from based on what the research was, that a lot of the habits that she had, she's had for many years. You know, she has
Mhm.
a routine of exercising to some form, whether it's walking or whatever
Mhm.
that is for her, right? She, her diet was really good. It was pretty much mostly the same, right? And her health care regimen was pretty structured and didn't have a lot of changes to it. So that contributed a lot to her internal age being much less than her actual age. And I
Mm.
thought that was interesting. But
Yeah.
it goes to the point, like you said, even outside of that, and I'm thinking, you know, a lot of times when people, um, again, I'm a prior military, I'm a veteran. When people go off to war or go away for deployment and they come back and they've seen some things, right? They've experienced some things that changes you as a person.
Right.
You are absolutely not the same person that
N-
that that returned before the person that left.
Right.
You're not. And so that is a struggle in itself as well. And I don't think people talk about that as much. Yes, I think they do talk about it in a PTSD setting,
Mhm.
but they don't talk about the stranger within your skin because you're definitely not the same
The same
person you were
person.
when you left. After you,
Yeah.
if you're any veteran from any of the branches and you've gone away and you've returned and you've seen and been through some things, you're not the same person.
And I don't think people really take seriously that.
Yeah.
They when I hear it as a civilian,
Hmm.
hear it from the Vietnam War. They
Yeah.
don't take into account other wars.
Yeah.
To what is shown is that the Vietnam War is the one that changed people.
Hmm.
But I'm like, what about these people that got sprayed with that orange stuff while they was over there?
Agent Orange. Yeah.
Yeah, like these are situations that happen.
Yeah.
And you're right, they don't come back the same
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, physically. Some people come up with skin burnt off and missing arms, missing limbs. Now I know that has to take a toll mentally.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
you went in with two legs and you came out with nothing, like you was Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
how
Yeah. And you know what is difficult? Even just thinking about it, right? Not that I've lived it, but to be a stranger in your own skin and not necessarily know who you are, you've got to figure that out. Of course, that's going to be a mental challenge. Of course, you're going to need support from your loved ones. Of course, you don't, and you may not even know what it is you need at all times, right?
right,
Today, it might be a hug. Next week, it might be, I need you to sit with me because I don't trust myself.
right. Wow.
It's very heavy, right? And so I think the reason, or I know the reason that we're having this conversation is because we're not the only ones that are considering this, right? And because this platform, again, we're here to support the LGBTQ community as a whole, right?
Mhm.
And with this being one of the pillars that fall under us, we want to have this conversation. We hope that you'll continue this conversation. We hope that you'll uh begin this conversation with your loved ones because maybe you see something in them that they're going through that you never talk to them about. Maybe it's helpful for them to talk to you. And if they can't talk to you, maybe you can encourage them and motivate them, push them towards talking to someone that has some letters behind their name,
Mhm.
preferably a doctor
Right, right.
or a counselor, right? You know,
You might need
but
a
we
pill.
can have this conversation. We can continue this conversation in a healthy way so that we can all find a place to where we can be comfortable in our skin. Even if it's not today, at some point we can get there.
Wow.
All right.
So,
I don't know what happened.
did
One
you
of your
go on?
screen, one of your screens went black.
Okay.
But
Am I back?
Nope.
Are you serious? Are we
Yeah.
doing this again? How?
Oh, so whatever voice is not working on one of them.
Ooh,
I don't know, but we're gonna rock with
okay.
it. We're gonna have two of you tonight. Two of you for the price of one. But so yeah,
What?
so that's listen, we don't know what the other Joy gonna say. If she say anything crazy, just disregard it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna make sure that I don't.
Yeah.
Does it sound okay?
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, it sounds
I'm
fine.
literally sitting here.
Yeah. Soon as I take the other one off the screen, then I can't hear you. So I don't know
Okay.
what the problem is. So but we're gonna keep the other Joy up there.
Okay.
Um,
This is
how
crazy.
can therapy in the community, and even from a spiritual standpoint, how can we help bridge the gap between who you are and who you see in the mirror? Is that even our responsibility, or is it enough to say if you have that struggle, then maybe you should seek help?
Yes. However, I think some people don't know that they need the help.
Okay, that's fair.
And how can you, as a friend, introduce that conversation?
Hmm.
Because um, you don't want to offend them. You want them to feel supported and everything like that, but you're not living in their experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yes, there is help. There's when we say help, not to say you're crazy, but to help you navigate those changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because especially if you're in a relationship and you're transitioning, that partner doesn't always transition with you. So you're identifying yourself by what you see, and you expect the other person to see it the way you see it
Mm-hmm.
and accept the way you accept it, and they don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, how do you have any suggestions on how, as a friend, we can introduce that conversation to people that we know that say, hey, maybe you do need to go talk to someone.
Sure. Yeah. So first I want to say that healing starts when you stop trying to fix yourself.
That's good.
Okay. What I would suggest, right, if I had a friend who I see is acting or behaving in a way that is different from what I'm used to, I
Hmm.
might just approach it in a way that, hey, I'm not sure what you're dealing with, but if you want to talk, we can talk. If I can't help you, then I can help you find somebody, whether it's a group of people, right, that we need to connect you with, or perhaps is a therapist or a counselor that can help you unpack some of the things that you're going through, that you're experiencing.
Right.
But I will offer myself first, right? Well, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean it's a 6, 8, 10 week session with your therapist. Sometimes I may be, maybe I gained 10 pounds and just need some motivation, somebody to go to the gym with me,
I
right?
think that's good. Hmm.
Maybe sometimes if I had a breakup with someone, and I've seen a couple of people that I used to date, whatever reason they want to cut their hair off. Hey, if that's what you're feeling, hey, go with it. I'm not cutting my hair off, but if you want to talk about it before we go to the barber, by all means.
Got it.
So there's some things or some areas or some situations in life that I feel would be beneficial
Hmm.
if a friend just asks, right? You don't want to not ask and leave them wondering with the things that they got going on.
Right.
Then I wouldn't necessarily feel as though I'm a friend if I don't say anything.
That's good. That's real good. So
Yeah.
it's like introducing those subtle changes, and it's based off of the conversation that you're having with them.
Yeah.
Okay, like you said, you want to lose weight, you want to do this. I'll go work out with you. I can do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or like I said, maybe that person just got bad news and that they just got a cancer diagnosis. Hey, I'm really sorry that you're going through that. I do know that there are support systems, right?
Hmm.
And they may not be aware. Well, if they're going through that, then they may be aware. I'm hoping they're aware of it. Or
Right.
if you need me to go with you, I can be your support, right? Or
Right.
maybe they, just got back from a deployment, right? And I'll speak for myself. When I got back from deployment, there's all kind of counseling sessions that you have to, not necessarily have to, but you're encouraged to attend just so you
Hmm.
get reacclimated back into your own family, right?
Mm.
If your family was still living, after you left, you have to figure out how you can now intertwine the new version of you back into your family.
Wow.
So maybe that just means that, we need to have some more conversations after work before you go home, right?
Hmm.
Maybe we need to spend more time perhaps on the weekends so that you don't, blow up at home unnecessarily because you haven't found a healthy outlet to unload.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's just different situations and different scenarios in which we can be a friend and be helpful without being silent and allowing them to go through things or try to figure out things by themselves. Right now, if
Right.
they choose to and they tell you, no, I got this, or whatever. Okay, fine. Then put your, hey, but if you need something, I can help you.
Yeah.
Or if you need me, to go with you, I can support you in that way.
Right. I really think we have to have a part two to this
Okay.
because there's a demographic that we didn't even include.
Oh,
What about individuals coming out of prison?
yes.
Life has passed you by.
For sure. For sure.
And you come out, when you went in, we was wearing fur and gold chains, and now you out and you trying to put on the same thing.
Yeah.
What does life look like for you? And how, as a community, can we support that?
Mhm.
Help get you a resource to get you acclimated to what life looks like. You may have never touched a cell phone. You
Yeah.
don't know what that is, you know. So it hits, it's not confined to one particular community.
Yeah.
It
I agree.
spreads across, and there has to be individuals out there that's going to see this and know resources that are able to speak as a subject matter expert in what how we can help everybody,
Yeah.
at some level.
Yeah, I agree. That is a great point. And I agree. So I would say or challenge our audience members, again, any number of the examples that we mentioned tonight, and you feel like there's a good person that is willing, one, to come on and continue the conversation with us, then please DM us on any of our social media platforms, and we would love to reach out to that individual or those persons and extend an invitation on to the Regal Mindset Podcast Show.
Absolutely. And we would love to have you on because this affects us all.
Yeah.
And we're all a part of the community. I am because we are. And so, what is that? Ubuntu. I think that's an African saying. It says, I am because we are.
Hmm.
And in order for us to be as healthy as a community, we have to know what is your sickness, your illness, your
Pain
issue
points.
in order to help you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we got like a few seconds left, but I
Mhm.
have thoroughly enjoyed tonight's conversation. It
I
totally
did too.
in a direction that we didn't even necessarily plan, but it was necessary, right? And so
Hmm.
sometimes when God, shifts things in a different way, then those that's who we need to honor, and that's
Right.
the direction in which we need to go. And I'm so glad that we were obedient in that, and that again, God allows us this platform to be able to reach those people. Oh,
That's Grandpa.
yes, we
Love
love
you
you too.
beyond.
But yeah, I just appreciate the ability to have this platform on to come on every week to be able to
Right.
bless people and help them. Go ahead.
I want to extend an invitation to Grandpa because Grandpa supports that community
Okay.
and be able to give us some insight on a lot of the opportunities that he offers into the community, our
Hmm.
transgender sisters and brothers, and other individuals that participate in the programs that she offers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, wonderful. Yeah. So again, we would love to extend the invitation to come back on and continue the conversation. The stranger in my skin.
Mm.
Other than that, do you have anything else?
No, I am complete.
Yeah, at me as well. So again, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. If you would please like, click, and share the content so that we can get it out to other people so that they can continue and join in on the conversation. Outside of that, we will see you all next week.
Have a regal mindset.
Absolutely.